Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Beerbot, with a possibly exciting, possibly boring mini-series here for you. So this is Frostpunk. This is a game that came out, let's say about 2 years ago or so. It has since released its final piece of DLC, so I figured this is probably the most imaginable time to take a look at this thing for the YouTube channel. And I'm going to do something a little special here for this game, because I have played this and I've played the majority of these scenarios, and I quite enjoy this game, so I figured I'd share it with you guys, but in a kind of very specific ways. So what I'd like to do is we're going to do this episodic style, and I'm going to be playing all 6 of the scenarios you see before you, which are all 6 of the scenarios that come between the base game and all the DLCs, all in a row. I'll say I'm not especially good at this game. This game, by the way, is a city builder with some political and story dynamics and stuff. It's a lot of survival. It's a neat thing. But I'm going to play through all these fucking scenarios here for you. And we're just going to see how it goes. Like I started to say, I'm not particularly good at this game, but I just really enjoy it. And hopefully you'll see why. There are also 2 other restrictions that I'm putting on myself during the course of the runs I'm going to do for you here. One, because it is my channel, I will be drinking periodically during all of this. I have already had a few alcoholic beverages. I've got one next to me, so that's fun. So let's say that will add an added challenge. My cat is already trying to ruin everything. Let's say it's an added challenge, but also hopefully at the very least it'll make things a little funny for you. And the last thing, which I decided right before playing this, is I live in North Carolina. It's a crisp, I think it's about maybe 40 maybe out evening. I'm going to play with the window open the entire time I'm doing this, regardless of what temperature it is. So it's a little chilly out there, but it's not terrible. So hopefully it'll get a little terrible as we're doing this, because I think that'll make things a little more fun. So windows open. Sorry if you hear that. Sorry if you hear my cat. We'll talk a little bit more about the game once we get into it. So, as I said, our goal is to complete all of these scenarios back to back. So we're going to start with the main story, number 1, A New Home. This one is not going to be particularly painful. If you're looking for me to be in pain, I'd recommend starting the series up around the halfway point when we hit Fall of Winterhome. That's when things get a little painful. But for now, this base story should probably be an easy breezy introduction into Frostpunk. So let's hit it. A new home. To preserve civilization from the chaos of its own downfall, we have fled to the end of the world. We will have to adapt to survive. Who will we become in the process? Now I am not playing on any crazy difficulties. Like I said, I'm not especially good at this game at all. I'll be playing on the medium setting all throughout. Oh shit. And we're not going to be using the survivor mode. For these first ones, that will seem a little too easy, but once we get to the later ones, you'll see why I've chosen to kind of stick here. So without any further ado, let's do it. I'll keep quiet for the intro cinematic here, for those of you who are not tuned into this game. Then I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing. My cat wants something. What do you need?
We roam the still, cold world. No horizon in sight. The rulers of old, stripped of pride and glory. It feels as yesterday we were turning the wheels of progress. Until the frost stopped it all. Suddenly, without a warning. When tides had changed, they changed for all of us, no matter wealth or class. We've lost our world to snow. And with it, our last traces of humanity. bid farewell to plenty. And for those who remained, came the time to adapt. We decided to leave our homes and head north. We roamed for weeks, maybe months, leaving behind all the things we once believed had made us. It was hope that pushed us forward. Slowly, step by step, we knew the cost of our journey, and we paid the price 100 times. Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
All right. There's our goal. We are in a snowy post-apocalypse, and our goal is to build the last, hopefully surviving city on Earth. We fled from London and crossed the sea to reach the frozen north. On our way, our convoy was hit by a blizzard and scattered. A handful of us managed to reach the site of this generator, only to find it frozen solid and abandoned. Why is no one here? Did any of our people survive the blizzard? Are there any others out there? Whatever we do, we should expect the worst now that the world as we know it has crumbled. We have to survive. Where's my mouse? There we go. Okay, I thought my cat was chilled out. She's not. So here we go. This is our generator. So I'm going to pause it here. Oh, we need to get this generator working. It provides heat and power to the other buildings. Without it, we'll freeze to death. Stockpile some coal and start the generator. So I'm going to pause it here. People who have played games like this before probably recognize this as the sort of city builder it is. Excuse me. This beer's making me burpy, so expect a lot of that. We got a pretty decent patch of land here, and that's exciting. This generator is basically our lifeline to succeeding. Okay, so we have a couple things I'm going to point out before I unpause it. Let's start at the top here. As you can see in the big bubble there, right now it's -4 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. That's very cold, but I assure you it's going to get a lot colder by the end of this. So we have to figure out a way to keep our people warm enough to survive. Also at the top here, where I'm running my mouse, we have our resources. So first up is coal. Coal is going to be used to power the generator once I turn it on, and also any other heating sources that I have set up. If I run out of coal, basically this game is over. I'm dead. Sad fact of life, but that's where we are. Then we have wood and steel. Both of those are used for construction projects, and we're going to have to do a lot of constructing, as I'll point out in a bit. They're good equally. Both are about the same difficulty to come by. Wood, if it really comes down to it, I can build charcoal stations, which will slowly convert wood into coal, which I may need at points during this. We'll see. Hopefully I'll get my my coal production up enough where we won't have to worry too much about that and just use the wood for production. And then steel is just pretty much only used for producing things. Then we have steam cores. Steam cores are an interesting resource in that I can't make them or produce them at all. I can only find them through the metagame that we're going to see here hopefully soon. And steam cores are used for some of the most valuable buildings in the game. So at some point it might be an interesting decision about what to do with the steam cores that I have. And we'll go from there. And then over on the other side here, we have raw food and food rations. Obviously we need to feed our people. Raw food, as you suggest, is food from raw sources. So stuff I'm going to hunt for initially. Later we'll be growing. And my people can eat that, and they're fine with that. But what we really want are food rations, of which right now we have 0. Basically, I'll be producing food rations from raw food. And at the lowest level, I can do that on a 1-to-2 ratio, meaning 1 raw food for 2 rations, which is why I want that over the raw food. So we're gonna have to get food production up pretty quickly because right now we have no rations. Okay, and then we have this timeline here. This will show in days, so this is second day, third day, etc., etc. And this will also have indicators about changes in temperature. So this shows right now on the 4th day, the temperature is going to drop significantly, which is 2 levels. Each level is roughly in Fahrenheit about 15 degrees, so it's going to get cold on the 4th day. So we're going to have to address some things before that happens. Going to the bottom left here, we have our objectives. Right now, which is fight the cold rather. Is asking us to stockpile some coal and turn the generator on so that we have some heat. Pretty simple. There'll be more stuff added to this later. And then we have our panel in here. I'll show a little bit more in a bit as we go, but for right now, note this number 80 in the red house icon over our 2 bars there. That means that right now I have 80 people in my camp, and none of them have homes because no homes have been built yet. Which means, especially at the night, they're going to start freezing. So we need to get housing up immediately. That's probably our most pressing thing at the moment. And then we have these 2 bars, discontent and hope. These basically show the general mood of my population. Should discontent either rise to the max or hope diminish to the very end, I will basically be a nice edge away from them exiling me. And that's basically a game over. So we're going to try to avoid that. I'll show you these other buttons here in a bit. Finally, in the lower right, we have our population tracker. If we hover over this, we have an idea of how many people that we have. So right now, that top one, that 50 out of 50, that's the number of workers that we have. Those are people that can fill worker roles, that can, do basically any job for the most part. Under that, the 15 to 15, that is the number of engineers we have. The dichotomy between worker and engineer is actually kind of interesting. There are some jobs that only workers can do, and there are some jobs that only engineers can do. A lot of jobs can be both, and we'll talk about those as we get there. Finally, under prohibited, you see that 15. That's the number of children we have. Yes, there are kids in this game. And we'll talk about what we're going to do with them in a second. So, looking at our situation right now, I've got 80 people that all need homes, and we have no homes. So our first objective is going to be getting some homes set up, right? But before we do that, since the game just started, the first thing we're going to want to do is open the Book of Laws. This is basically kind of where the political aspect of this game comes from. I can pass a new order out of the Book of Laws every roughly 1.5 days. Sometimes a little longer than that. And these will have some impact on the way that my society is built. Some positive, largely negative. So right now I only have one category under here called adaptation. Find ways to battle hunger, sickness, and apathy. So we're going to pop in here, and I've got some choices here. Some of these, this game can be a bummer sometimes. So my options right now, I have emergency shift, which will allow me to force a particular workplace to work 24 hours straight. It has its positives and negatives, as you can see here. For the most part, people will hate when I do that, but also those people are at a huge risk of getting sick or falling ill from exhaustion if I do that. I'll probably have to sign this at some point. We'll talk about that. Next up, we have what to do about child labor. So I have a decision whether to have them work safe jobs, which is basically just gathering and working in the cookhouse. Or I can build child shelters, which will keep me from ever letting the children work, but they'll have a place to hang out. Which is hard on the early economy, but we'll talk about what I'm going to do later. And then we have our choice about what we do with the dead. We can either build a cemetery, which people will enjoy more, but it's a little more time consuming because they want to have ceremonies for it. Or we could just have a big pile where we toss the bodies. Not great, but it's faster and easier, right? Then over here, what to do about medical treatment. I can do radical treatments, where doctors will do anything they have to keep people alive and working. Or I can choose sustain life, which means that the gravely ill will be kept alive, but they will be keeping beds in our medical facilities, which isn't great. Over here, what we do about food, we can either do soup, which gives me the ability to make soup. As I said before, turning raw food into food rations is at a ratio of 1 to 2. With soup, I can do it on a ratio of 1 to 3. So we'll have more rations per food. However, the people will not like us doing that for very long. Alternatively, I can do food additives, where you basically just add sawdust to the food that you have, which is not great, and people will get sick. But I believe it's even more food economic. Then finally, we have a fighting arena that we can set up. This will allow people to participate in fights, which is basically just a global discontent lowering. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, I've had some experience with this, so I'm actually going to start with the child labor. Now, before when I've done this scenario, I've stuck with safe jobs, because it's really nice to have an early production going. However, for reasons that are going to come up later, I'm going to do child shelters. Hopefully this isn't going to bite me in the ass. We'll see. I'm a little familiar with the scenario, but not entirely. So we're going to do child shelters. Now, new law has passed. Now, one side effect of signing any of these laws is it generally gives you something that you have to complete within the span of a couple of days. So this right now means that since I've signed that, I now have 3 days to build a child shelter. If I don't, then discontent is going to rise and hope is going to plummet. So I have 3 days to build that. That's actually not too bad. Sometimes it's a lot shorter of a time span. So we'll just keep that in mind. All right. So we're done with all that. Now there's a timer on this. I can't make new laws until this timer expires. There's an 18-hour cooldown on it. So that was roughly right. Take a drink. All right. Next step is to focus on gathering resources. So at the start, there are these piles of resources that are kind of scattered around this generator, which are going to be what we're going to use to kind of get our stuff started, right? So we have like a scrap pile here we can pull steel from there. We have these wood crates that we can disassemble into wood, and there are these coal piles to start stockpiling coal. So what I can do to gather resources, I can assign workers just to these piles. So you can see here, I can assign a combination of workers or engineers. Excuse me, very burpy. And they'll just start dragging stuff from these crates and stuff. The problem with that is that they're working outside and it's already very cold. So rather than do that, not only is it not so effective because they have to drag wreckage all the way from the pile back to the generator, but it's also cold and they risk getting sick. So what I'm going to do instead is build one of the few buildings that we have access to right now, and that is the gathering post. I believe, yes, I have enough resources right now to build 2 of these. And what these do is I can gather resources from piles that are near them, where that circle is, where I'm placing them, right? Also, by the way, in terms of building, you can see as I rotate this around, all buildings are central to the generator. They will always face the generator, and it's always a matter of how far away the buildings are from the generator. And that's important because once I turn the generator on, you'll see there's a radius of how much they heat. So the buildings that are closer are the ones that are going to get the most heat from the generator. Right now, that's not important. What I need is to have the resource depots closer to the resources. So I'm going to drop one right here so we have access to 2 wood crates and 1 steel pile. So I'm going to drop that, and it's going to yell at me about being adjacent to the street. I'm going to do that. And now I think I don't have enough resources to build the second one. That's fine. So I'm going to pause the game and let them get to building that. I needed so at this point, since I'm building this road, I don't have enough wood to build the other depot, so we'll let them get started with this. And since I now have the spare workers, so right now 10 people are coming to build this, I'm going to assign some spare workers just gathering the raw materials so we can get started. So here I just assigned 15 workers to that wood pile, 15 to that pile, and 15 to this steel here. I'm also going to assign a few people while we're waiting for all that to happen. There's a couple coal piles here. I'm going to get people started on that. So I'm out of workers. We're going to have to assign some engineers. Now, assigning engineers to... I'm just going to kind of let this run while I talk. Assigning engineers to stuff is a little dangerous because it's hard to get engineers. And engineers have maybe one of the most important jobs, which is to research. And if engineers get things like frostbite, then they're useless to me. So having them work is dangerous, but it's the best I can do right now, since I have decided that the children can't work. So that's fun. I'm already making decisions. So there we go. So this is almost done. I can speed up time. I'm choosing not to right now while I'm describing. So I'm going to pause it again. So now this is a workstation. Right now it's telling me there are 0 of 10 people employed here. I'm going to pull off 10 workers to work in here. So now not only are there workers assigned to these piles that are around the station, but now there are also workers assigned to the to this. And then I was thinking about the gathering post. You can see here there's a temperature thing. Right now this is indicating that this is livable conditions, which means that the people that are working here have a very low risk of falling ill. Whereas these piles, it's a little chilly, and now it's a little lower risk of falling ill. So that's just something I'm going to have to take into account. So right now we have enough resources to build a second pile. I'm going to drop it over here. It's nice having wood up front. As you can see here, there's 2 more wood crates and steel here. So I'm going to drop another one of these over here, build a road, and let that kind of take off. I'm still going to have these people manually work the coal for right now. Coal's not going to be too bad to come onto later. Also, you'll see that there's a construction project here, but it says 0 out of 10. That means no one's coming to build this. And the reason for that is I have no one that's not working right now. They are all working. What'll happen is, you see the time up here right now is work time. Once we hit free time, people actually use their free time to build buildings, which is weird. You would think they would rest during that, but no, they're not going to. They're going to keep working. So we got a couple more resources. So while we wait for all that to happen, I'm going to queue up some more things for them to build when it's free time. Specifically, I'm going to build some tents because we need some places. So I have 80 homeless people. Each of these tents is enough shelter for 10 people. So I'm going to need 8 tents when all is said and done. So I'm going to build. Oh God, I'm already fucking shit up. You want these things to be very closely huddled to the generator. There we go. We have 4 set to build, which is good. We've got a little bit of coal. I'm afraid to turn the generator on yet because it's not super cold out. So we'll just let this play out. So we'll let people work. I'm going to speed up time. They'll work until 1800. There we go. It's free time. I just unsped it up. So there you can see this new construction project I put up over here. Now it's 10 people because they're going to use their free time to build. The workers will use their free time to both build any projects that I have up and also to eat. So everybody's... Well, in this case, since I have no food rations, they're not going to try to eat. They're just going to stick with it and just hope that by tomorrow, which actually right now I've probably got enough resources to build a cookhouse. And what a cookhouse does is it turns the raw food into cooked food. So I'm going to build that. I'm not going to build it right up against the generator. I want to save that space for more tents. So I'm going to build it a level back. We're going to drop it right here. So again, these people are not working their post right now. What they're doing is working on the construction that I've queued up. So let them do that. While they're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and queue up a few other things. I got to talk about it. Let's start with the medical post. No one is sick right now, but I assure you they will be. What do we have here? The heating is off. The generator is off. People are afraid they'll freeze to death in their sleep if you don't at least turn it on for the night. All right. Well, to make people happy, we'll go ahead and turn on the generator. So you can see here, and I can bring up this temperature overlay. This shows how hot things are in relation to the generator. Obviously, the generator is very hot. And it shows me the condition that some of this stuff is in. I'm going to pause it here while I talk a little bit more. However, this generator does consume coal. So right now, the current coal consumption is 6 coal per hour. We have 145, which means the coal is going to last about a day at the rate that we're getting it at. And we can see more about those ratios kind of as we go forward here. Right now, all this other stuff is locked off because I haven't researched it. We're going to get to research it a bit. But for now, we're going to let that go. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and build a medical post for when people inevitably start getting sick. I'm going to build that... Put it right here next to the Hoosie. I am also, assuming I have the resources to do it, I do. I'm going to build a workshop, which is going to let us start researching stuff. And I'm going to build that. Let's do... I'm picky about these these workshops, and I'll tell you why a little bit later. Let's go right. Let's go here. I'll show you why I'm picky about those, and it's for a very stupid reason. It needs to be connected by a road, so we'll also build a road right there. Take a drink. Part of the reason why I chose to set up the child shelters is to help with our research, and I'll show you what I mean by that a little bit later. So we got our stuff progressing. Oh, let me pause it again. So the cookhouse finished. It has no workers in it. We're going to fix that because we would like to start converting our raw food into eatable food. So I'm going to pull 5 people off of this coal pile because they're going to get sick if I keep them out there that long. I'm going to use engineers to do this because, again, the last thing I want is for engineers to get frostbite. Because if I have that, then... So now I have a notification here telling me there's 22 hours left on the generator. That's fine. We're going to hit a point where coal hopefully won't be as much of an issue as it is right now. So I'm out of wood. I need at least, I think it's 15 wood for a tent. 10 wood. I'm obviously not there, and no one's working right now. Medical post just opened up. Now, the medical post is one of those that needs to be staffed by engineers. Excuse me. So I'm going to pull 5 engineers off here to keep this manned. So that way, if anyone gets sick, then we can address that as quickly as possible. And then finally, the workshop is up. I'm going to pause it again. So I'm going to pull... Oops, I'll show that later. I'm going to pull the last of these engineers off here to work at the workshop. The more engineers that are in this workshop, the faster research is going to go. And this is our research. There are 4 trees. There's a lot of stuff in them. Right now, I only have access to the top row. I have to research these things along the side to get access to more. I don't think I have enough wood to start any of these. Yeah, all these need at least 10 wood, so I'm not going to be able to start this until the morning. That's fine. We'll talk about what we're going to do once we get a little more wood. So I'm going to speed up time a little bit. So the timer's up for a new law to be researched, so let's look back at the Book of Laws. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do soup because it's going to be a little bit slow for me to start getting more food, and I like to start getting that out there. So like I said, normal conversion rate is 1 raw to 2 rations. This will go from 1 to 3. And it causes discontent, but the nice thing about this is I can stop it at any time. So once I get more food production going, I might stop this. We'll see. And you'll see once I pass that, discontent goes up a little bit, hope goes down a little bit, and people are going to be a little bit pissed here. Anything to calm the growling stomach, just like in London. I hate soup. All my life it's been gruel and empty promises. Well, suck it up, guy. So if I come to the cookhouse right now, you can see it's set to soup. 5 food rations from 2 raw food. Okay, that's even better than I thought it was. Whereas the normal is 2 to 4. So yeah, 1 to 2. I was right. But that's not working right now. They're going to wait until the day to start manning that. So let's speed up until 6. 6 is when they start working. I'm sorry, 8. There we go. We're at work time. Get moving. All right, I'm going to pause here again. So because I did that, I don't have anyone working the coal piles right now. That might be a problem. I'm going to take the workers off these individual piles and let them just build off the gathering post that I set up so I can free up my workers. I'm going to set 10 workers here to start pulling from that, and I'm going to set everyone else to getting me coal so we can keep that generator running. That's good. I'm going to pause it again here because now I have 12 wood, and this is telling me that the researchers aren't researching anything, so we're gonna fix that. I think the first thing I'm going to research is faster gathering, which is what it says on the tin. They'll gather faster from the individual piles. This is nice for early on, and right now I'm kind of starved for resources. So you can see down at the bottom that shows the percentage there. Like I said, the more engineers I have working on research, the faster it goes, which is good. Also, as we go, you can see this icon here tells me that people have taken sick absences because they are sick. At the bottom here, this shows me how many people I have in infirmaries right now. I have 3 people being treated. So people up here are starting to get sick because it's fucking cold, but I don't have room to care right now. We gotta get our resources. What becomes a problem is if this medical post runs out of beds. Then I have to think about opening a new one, which right now is going to be impossible because I don't have enough engineers to do that. So, tough titties, suck it up. I'm going to speed up time a little bit. So luckily I am gathering coal as much as I'm spending it. Let's see what this is. Family torn apart. Sir, a woman came forward after we built the workshop. She said that her husband and daughter didn't reach the city with the main group, but she's sure they're still out there. She wants to join the first scout team we'll send out. She urges you to hurry. We'll do what we can. So, if I'm right... I know, it's not giving me a new thing. What she wants me to do is to build a beacon, which I think is going to be our second research topic, which is good because this is almost done. So I'm going to speed up time a bit. Hopefully we'll finish that research before the day ends. Generator hums with reassuring warmth, but we shouldn't take it for granted. If the generator goes down, the city dies. Be mindful of coal reserves. Now food, there'll be no city if we starve to death. Secure a way to provide raw food and build a cookhouse to prepare meals. That's what it is. So right now, so it's telling me to do secure food. I'm going to pause it again. Right now, our cookhouse has converted all of our raw food into food rations. Each person is going to consume a ration per night if available, which means with this 197, we have 80 people. That's going to last us about 2 days. So we're going to have to think about doing that. But right now, with the way that we're getting our resources, I'm going to unpause it. We don't have enough workers to go out and forage for food. I'm going to let the rest of the workday stand, and we'll see where we're at for resources. Faster gathering researched. That's good news. As promised, the next thing is going to be a beacon, and I'll talk a little bit about what this beacon does once we get it researched. So let's blast forward again. All right. So I'm going to pause it. It's free time now. What is this? No roof over our heads. Captain, the people are understandably concerned about the lack of shelter. They're falling ill from sleeping outside in this terrible cold. We better do something about it. So you'll see these options pop up when the people are unhappy about certain things, and it gives you some options. So I have 3 options right now. 1, I'll provide some shelter, which says I have 2 days to provide shelter for 20 people. Number 2 is I'll provide shelter for everyone, which says I have 2 days to provide shelter for 40 people. And 3 is I won't address this right now. If I pick that, discontent is going to rise. Now, if I promise either of these top 2 things and I fail to deliver, then the hope and discontent are going to change way harder than if I hit I won't address this right now. However, in this case, I plan to do this anyway, so I'm actually going to pick this bigger promise here. I have 2 days to provide shelter for 40 people. That shouldn't be too hard. In fact, I might be able to do it tonight. Let's pause it again. So let's use the rest of our resources to go ahead and build 4 more tents, which will fulfill that promise, and we'll have living space for everybody. And 1 right here. We also need roads. Let's build 1 here and curve around like that. Okay, so that's good. We got 4 houses coming. We still have some resources left. Let's go ahead. We still have to build the child shelter. That's 20 wood. I think that can wait another day. What we do instead is I'm going to build a hunter's hut, which will allow us to start getting raw resources. Now, the hunter's hut is interesting. Basically, the hunters will go out during the night and then come back in the morning and bring raw food. The reason I bring that up is because since that's the way that these hunters' huts work, I don't have to worry about how warm these things are because no one is actually going to occupy them during working hours. Which means to save space, I'm going to put them as far away from the generator as possible. So I'm going to stick this like back here. Let's try to get it lined up with the street, so like this. So I don't care how cold this building is because no one is actually going to man it. Alright, I missed a little bit with the road. That's fine. I'll probably wind up building more stuff down there. So we're going to get that up. We're going to have to pull some people off of gathering to man that. And that leaves us with 5 wood, 64 steel. Nothing I can do about that, so I'm going to fast forward and let these guys build those tents and the hut. What is this? The wisdom of the crowd. Captain, when facing demands, remember this. People usually look to the quickest solution, not the best one. You don't have to agree with everything they ask for. If you fix the problem your way, it's fine. So that's just reminding me that those asks are not, you know, hard-coded by anyone. I can introduce a new law. What do we got here? Let's see. I think what I'm going to do next is we do radical treatment next. This is to open up a research later that I want. So like I said, this says that the gravely ill will be treated in medical posts. Hope will raise slightly. However, there's a 30% chance that the gravely ill will be left as amputees, and discontent will rise slightly. Amputees are a problem. They can't work. However, there will be a solution later in the game that will let me getting them working again. Maybe you can think ahead to what that is. For now, I'm going to sign that. So basically, if people get frostbite, they probably will be. They will probably become amputees. It's going to happen. So the last of these tents are building. We've got this this hunter's hut building. All good stuff. And I fulfilled the shelter promise, which is excellent. So hope's going to rise. It's good news. Right now in the early stages of the game, there's not a lot I can do to influence these bars. There will be options later that will let me do that. But for right now, there are only some basic. So you can see like discontent has a permanent rise because right now I'm feeding them soup instead of actual rations, and they don't like that. Also, I just passed a controversial law, but that'll pass in about a day or so. As far as hope, you know, I fulfilled a promise. I completed a main objective. I passed one desirable law, which is the child shelter, but also one controversial law. So I will be able to more directly fuck with these later. Main thing I don't want right now, it's good to think of those as resources, and you'll see that once I start getting mean with these people. So let's go ahead and speed up time. The hunter's hut will finish. Here we go. With basic resources secured for now, we can try to rescue the people we left behind, build a beacon, scout Frostland, and save as many survivors from our expedition as possible. You'll need a workshop to design plans for more advanced buildings. So right now I'm already building the beacon. That's what the beacon's going to do. I paused again. It's not researching right now because we're off hours. However, right now I have to make some difficult decisions about how to staff this hunter's hut. I need 15 people and everyone is already working jobs. I think... How long is our coal going to last? 2 days? These piles are starting to run out. I think... Yeah, I think I'm just going to pull 15 people off one pile and just put them to work in the hunter's hut. That'll work. So you can see we're... this still didn't hit 100% efficiency because 2 people are in treatment. That's fine. Nothing you can do about that. You'll also see periodically up at the top here, in these any red icon up here is basically urgent matters to discuss. This is telling me that 2 people are sick, and right now they can't go to a medical tent for whatever reason. Usually that's going to happen because there are no beds available, which we're definitely going to see later. Right now, I think all this is they're out hunting. When they come back, they'll probably try to check themselves into a medical tent. So. Let's forward time a little bit. We survived another night. That has to count for something. Alright. It's 8 o'clock. People are working again. So, tomorrow there's going to be a major drop in temperature. There's not a lot I can do about that right now, other than making sure that I have the coal stockpiled, which I have people doing. The generator's not going to run more hot, because it's colder. All that means is I just need enough to make it through that area. While that's happening, I can point out some of the other resources I have access to, but I can't do anything with. You see I have these coal deposits here. Later, I'll be able to have infinite sources of coal once I build factories on top of those. I've got some trees I can build sawmills for. I've got this iron ore deposit, which I can build steel mills for, so I can start getting steel on a regular basis, things like that. There's also some spots you can't see that'll let me establish resource outposts, which we'll talk about when we get there. For now, speed up time. Bop, 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 bop. Until the beacon has been researched. Let me pause it here. So the beacon is cool as shit. Before I pick a new research, I'm just going to go ahead and get the beacon built, or at least queue it up. The beacon is another one of those buildings where I don't care how cold it is, because no one is actually going to work there. It's going to drop it way in the back here next to this hunter's hut. No one's going to build it yet because they're busy working. That's fine. Actually, I might... We've got enough coal for a few days. I'm going to pull these coal workers off. Actually, I just need 10 of them. So they can start building that, because I want to get that up, and we'll see that. Also, I can pick a new research. What do I want? What do I want? I think I'm going to go with hunter's gear, which will make our hunts more efficient. Right now, they'll return with up to 15. This will up that to 20 raw food per hunt, which by the soup thing means that this will equivocate to about 60 rations per night, which is good. It's not great because we have 80 people here, but it is what it is. So I'm going to speed up time. So the reason I pulled people off of here working is because, like I said, if people are at work, they're not going to start building shit until they're off of work. However, they will help you build shit if they don't have a job. So I pulled 10 people off of that work site so that they'll start building stuff today. Wood crates depleted. So you can see here, those crates that were there, and this one, there's only 10 wood left in it, so this is almost gone. That's fine. So we're going to let them build that. Alright, pause it. So now all of the resources from this gathering post have gone away, so there's no reason for this post to exist anymore, so I'm going to dismantle it. I think... How much coal is left in these? There's a good bit. I think I'm going to dismantle that. I'm going to build another resource post, or gathering post here to finish up these two coal piles. We got to build a road. There's that. Let them do all that. I'm going to pull workers from this pile so they stop getting sick. We can also do new book of laws. This game is not normally this frantic. This is just how the beginnings go. Normally at about this point, I'd be looking at this guy right here, overcrowding. This allows me to double the beds in a medical tent. But right now, we're actually doing okay on sick people, so I'm not too concerned about that. Well, I just realized we never built that child shelter. We gotta do that. I think what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna pick up emergency shift. I'm pretty skeptical about using emergency shift in general because it is a big discontent jump when I use it, and people will get sick a lot. But I like having it in case I'm running into a bad situation. So I'm gonna pick that. The people aren't gonna like it. They're just gonna have to suck it up. We're in free time, so now people are gonna focus on the construction I've queued up, which is good news. What else? Have any engineers free? What are my engineers doing? Cooking. Let's queue up another workshop. I like having workshops. And because I'm doing that, I'm going to pull these engineers and replace them with workers, because workshops are one of those that require engineers to be on. So people are working their construction projects. That's good. These are the hunters. They're coming back from a hunt. That's good. It's fast up time. The beacon has been built. We're no longer lost and blind. From now on, our people will be able to survey the icy barrens that surround us, Frostland. Get a little shot of this guy blowing up. Ah, beer. So, this beacon scouting program is probably one of the cooler parts of this game. So now we have an overview of the general area around our beacon, right? And we have these points of interest. We'll look at these in a second. To go to these, I have to set up scouting teams, which we can do from here. So to make a scouting team, I need 40 wood and 5 workers. And these will basically become autonomous units in this kind of meta layer of the game. So I'm going to do that. And I have 1 scouting team. Excuse me. Through research, I can get up to 3 scouting teams, which I'm definitely going to do as soon as I can. For right now, I have the 1. So now I can pick these locations and actually send the scouts to that. So this lost expedition, numerous tents, we can see people moving about. They must be the lost members of our expedition. I can send these scouts here. It will take them 11 hours to arrive. Alternatively, I can go to this gloomy cave. There's a dark entrance visible on the hillside. We think we saw a faint wisp of smoke coming from it, but it's gone now. I'm more concerned in this because I need people so I can fill working roles. So I'm going to send them to this. So it's going to take them 11 hours to arrive. So now they're just going. You can see this icon over here. Shows me they'll be there in 10 hours and 40 some minutes. So they're doing their thing. I'm going to speed up time while we finish construction. Something forced me out of time skip. I don't know what it was. Oh, this thing. People cheer as the giant observation balloon soars above the city. This is a real feat. Everyone feels proud of the work they've done to make this happen. Volunteers have lined up eager to go looking for our lost people in the Frostland. The woman who came forward earlier is among them. We needed a win. So good. People are pretty happy that we got that beacon going. So we deconstructed that resource hut. They're building a new one up here. Also, we're finishing up this workshop, which I'm going to add people on. So now I've effectively doubled the speed of our research, which we're definitely going to need. We're still expecting that cold surge, which sucks. Also, I have 9 hours left to build this child shelter. Fuck. I knew I was going to fuck something up. I think I have enough thing for it. I do. Let's build that. I don't need it close to the generator. Let's drop that. Yeah, over here's fine. Hopefully they'll build that in 9 hours. They should. There we go. So we're going to need to assign people to that. I'm going to let that go for a second. Alright, we have a child shelter. Children cared for. The child shelter is ready and the children are safe inside. People can work without worrying that something will happen to their kids. Hope rises. Now that hope is not the only reason I did that. We'll talk about what I'm doing later. I'm going to assign some people to this to get some coal. We've already got this hut going for this wood and steel. We're running out of resource piles, so we're going to have to look at more permanent solutions here shortly. So let's go ahead and run the timer. Scouts are almost there. It's 5 in the morning. Gonna move on, chaps. Alright, here we go. Scouts have arrived. The rest of our people made camp here, too exhausted to go on. We should escort them to the city. So hit explore. Then we get a little bit about what's going on out here. We enter the camp, appearing out of the driving snow. A choir of excited voices welcomes us. Thank God you found us. We'd been wandering for days until we couldn't go on any longer. Soon we'd begin to starve. Children and adults surround us, packed and ready to go. So not only have I found these survivors, but I also have found some new sites. Observatory and sturdy shelter. We'll deal with that in a bit. Excuse me. So here I have kind of an interesting decision. I've only got the 1 scouting party, right? So I have 2 options. I can escort the survivors to the city, which will ensure they arrive safely and they'll actually get there faster. Or I could send the survivors to the city, which I'll basically point them in the right direction. They'll take longer and some of them might die. But that would free up my scouts to go do other stuff. Right now, I'm in pretty dire need of more workers, so I'm going to go ahead and escort them. And then hopefully we'll, and you can see these new locations popped up here. So there we go. They have a new destination. You basically always want your scouts moving places. While I was doing all that, the temperature dropped. Now it's negative 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Not great. You'll see here that the medical post is currently too cold to operate. There's basically for working areas, there's a limit to how cold it can get, and if it gets there, it can't operate anymore, and this is it. Which means right now this building effectively does not exist. And this is telling me right now we have one sick person that doesn't have a place to rest. But there's nothing we can do about it. Even if I were to build another one, it's going to be just as cold there. So I'm just going to have to let them deal with it. It's part of this game. I've got 5 people unemployed. I'm just going to go ahead and assign them to the coal piles. So let's go until the next thing happens. Our research is done. We've got the hunter's gear. So we're going to get more food back. So the next thing I'm going to want is heaters. This is going to let me heat individual buildings to combat the effects of cold. Which will allow us to reopen that infirmary, which is going to be huge. So fast forward time. Also, while we're sitting here, let me pause it again. So we got people coming, right? Right now I've got enough tents for the people we have, but not the people that are coming. Right now I have enough wood for 2 more tents. They're going to be homeless people when they show up here, but at the very least I'm going to queue that up. I'm also going to renege on my decision to put workers here because it's too cold for that. And let them work on building those tents. What is this? Resources shortage. We're getting short on resources. Our needs are great and growing by the hour. To address this, we can enact a law that will allow us to extend working hours. Oh, I didn't notice we had the new law set up. So here... I think... So I'm conflicted here because the people that show up here in the next hour or so are probably going to be sick because they've been out in the cold, which means I'm not going to have enough beds for them. So right now, picking up overcrowding would probably be a decent idea. I'm leaning between either that or engineer apprentices, which is the thing I was doing for the children, which is why I built that shelter. It opens this up, which allows research to happen faster. I think I'm going to go with overcrowding because I know I'm going to get that anyway. And I have more engineers coming in the next batch. So we're going to do this. People are going to be pissed off because there's more beds, but the amount of space and engineers I'm saving by doing this is way bigger than the discontent I'm going to cause by stuffing people into buildings. So, scouts are here. We have 10 engineers, 4 children, and 22 workers. I'm going to pause it here. Oh. A little cutscene. They're happy to be here. People from a convoy, reunions. It's heartwarming to see families reunited after so many hardships. But shouldn't there be other settlements nearby? The first expeditions left London long ago. They ought to be well established by now. They'll surely help us in finding our footing. We will look for the others. So that's indicating that there are other survivors out there. We should keep that in mind. From the child shelter, a note of thanks. We just wanted to thank you. Back in London, it was only the wealthy that didn't have to send their kids to work. In this new world you're creating, you'll see. We can see you'll see things differently. God damn it! The drinking part of this little adventure. It was the right thing to do. That's fine. Like I said, it was not entirely selfless. The reason I did that. I want the kids to work in the engineering labs. Our people found a trail leading into the wilderness. We should follow it. We must find other people and ask them for help to secure our survival. So I got on the main objective here. Find another settlement. I'm going to go back to my scouts. So locations that are marked with this yellow are main areas. A bulky cylindrical construction stands on a small hill. The Union Jack flies over it, but there's no sign of movement. I can be assured that since my thing is to find another settlement, that's it. However, right now I'm in no position to be accepting more survivors. I don't have enough homes. I don't have enough food. I don't have enough anything. So instead, I think I'm going to send them to the Gloomy Cave and see what resources are there. We will get to that eventually. There's no hurry. That will be fine. There might be a hurry later, hint, hint, but for right now, we're good. So they're going. We have a lot of unemployed people, and we also have a lot of homeless people. I have enough for another tent, let's go ahead and get that queued up. Right now, at least these unemployed people are going to help with construction, which is good. Speed up a little bit here. Alright, research is up. One of the coal piles is gone, and we finished doing heaters. That's good news. So none of those people were sick. That's excellent news. We'll pop open the technology tree. I think what's going to happen next is we're running out of wood. We need a sustainable source of it. So let's go ahead and grab the sawmill. The coal thumper might be next, but right now I need wood if I'm going to be able to build anything. So we're going to start them on that. Because, yeah, I still have plenty of coal piles around here. We're not too worried about that. But these are the last two wood piles, and they don't have a whole lot of melon let the thump, as they say. We have enough for another tent. Let's go ahead and get that queued up. I think we're good. Keep past. So we got a pretty decent stockpile of coal right now. About 3 days worth. Oh, that's right. I forgot. So I finished doing heaters. So one of the things I can do, let me bring in this temperature overlay. Once I have heaters, you see these icons are now over these individual buildings. I can actually selectively turn on heaters for them, which will increase the temperature within them. So for situations like this, where it's too cold for them to operate, since I turned that heater on, it's now reached a base level. It's still not great. As you can see, it's still chilly, but it's at least warm enough for them to operate. So that's good. Alright, our food situation is not great. I don't think I have enough wood for another hunter's hut, do I? No. Alright, people are going to go hungry tonight. That's going to happen. But I got enough tents for everybody, so that's good news. Let me pause it. What I could do at this moment, I don't think I'm... Oh, man, I might, though. What I could do at this moment is I could declare a 24-hour shift on this gathering post. That would get me the wood that I need to build the hunter's hut, which would help us avoid hunger. Oh, that's tempting. But the problem with that is, one, people get super pissed off when you do that, and two, people get sick way faster. I think I'm going to compromise. I'm going to hit a 24-hour shift, but I'm also going to turn the heater on to try to combat sickness. People do not like when you do that, but it is what it is. I probably would have been fine had I not done that. But things will go a lot faster if we do it this way, which will make the end game hilarious. So now I think I have enough wood for another hunter's hut. There we go. This is too close to the edge here, so let's build this. Let's not be nitpicky. Let's just go right here. So enough people to build that. Let's go. So I'm expecting to see some sick people from that 24-hour shift. Yep, there they are. They're starting to pile up. Normally these medical posts only have 5 beds in them, but because I picked up overcrowding, they now have 10 beds. So as long as I have space for them, we're in the clear. Let me get some hunters up. We can do fine with this one cookhouse. Usually you're only going to need a second cookhouse once you hit like 4 or 5 hunter huts. Alright, scouts are at the next location. Oh god, there's survivors here. This cave is or was inhabited. There are a number of footprints leading to its entrance. We should check and see if someone's still alive up there. We hear terrified shrieks coming from a cave uphill. When we come closer, several polar bears turn towards us, blocking the entrance. There are people trapped inside, and those beasts are picking them off one by one, feasting on them. Boy. So if we leave them alone, the bears are definitely going to kill the survivors. But people in the cave will live. Scouts will escort them to our city if they survive. I'm going to risk it. When our scouts attacked the bears, the people in the cave joined them, and together they drove the beasts away. Unfortunately, the scouts died from their injuries. The people they saved set out towards their city, guided by a map made by the scouts. So I lost the scouting team. That's fine. All things considered, that's not too bad. That was 5 people that I lost. And I have enough wood and shit to replace them. So how about that? So why don't we send the scouts here to escort the survivors back home so they don't die on the way here. Like I said, I'm pretty full up right now, but I'm gonna need as many people as I can later in the game. So I think we'll do maybe one more day here, and then we'll call it for this episode. See where we stand. Wood crates depleted, so now we're officially out of wood crates. I don't think I have any more. No. So the only way we're gonna get wood is when this research finished for the sawmill, and that's gonna become a big fucking deal, as the kids say. So right now this cookhouse is too cold. I'm gonna change that with heat. We still have about 2 days worth of coal left. That's fine. We're gonna pass up time until we have the sawmill. So let's grab a new research while we do that. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab. Oh man, I don't know. So my options here, I have the steam hub, which is the thing I can build to heat individual buildings. I'm kind of avoiding that right now because one, that's a drain on coal, and two, the temperature is about to rise again. I think we're going to go and grab the coal thumper, which is basically the coal thumper is the easiest infinite source of coal, but there's some constrictions to that. I might not even build this. I just want to have it in case I'm going to need it. So I'll let that go. While that's doing that, I think I have enough wood for a sawmill. Oops. Resources. Sawmill, I do. So the sawmill, like the gathering post, I have to place near these trees. There are better sources of wood later, because this will still consume these trees, obviously. But for right now, I think this is going to be our way to go. Also, that resource post is depleted. So I'm going to put this as close to the trees as I can without overwriting the trees. So I think like here is probably going to be fine. No, more like... I think here's going to be fine. Yep. So let me build a road. Oh, I'm out of wood. Oh shit, I don't have enough wood to build a street. Oh no. Oh, here's what I'll do. I will dismantle this because this has no more to do. Buildings won't operate at all if they're not connected by a street. That's why that was a problem, because I didn't have enough wood to build the thing that would give me wood. You can get stuck in weird ways like that from time to time. This icon means that I have no more raw food. That's fine. The hunters already delivered it. We have 47 rations. Hopefully that'll get us there. What just happened? That sound usually means something. I don't see anything. Alright. Let's speed up again. Coal pile depleted. Gathering post depleted. So that goes all the coal there. So I'm going to dismantle that. I'm going to build another gathering post next to these two coal piles. Do I have enough wood? I don't. Oh yeah, because we're still waiting on this sawmill. That's fine. That's fine. Everything's fine. Let's assign people to this. Now we got some wood coming. As much as I might like to, I'm not going to do another emergency shift because our discontent is high enough. Let's see here. What I would like to do now is to research tier 2, but that needs 50 wood, and I'm nowhere near that. So I'm just going to go ahead and start them on this and hope I'll have enough wood by the time that finishes. Let's go ahead. Actually, instead of building a resource post there, I'm going to build... Oh, we have our scouts with people that I can't house. Great. This game. I'm going to pause it. I think... Actually, you know, this is probably a good place to pause it for this episode. So, I just got home with more people. I can't house them. I have no wood. This is basically a game of Frostpunk. So, I hope you guys are enjoying yourself.